Been a minute, guys. It's been a minute, and I feel like you guys know, like, I think I said this at the start of every single video that I make. Oh, it's been fucking 8 months and I haven't uploaded a video, but it's a new year, and on that note, I hope that everybody who is subscribed still after such a long time of not uploading, I hope that you all had a great Christmas, I hope you had a lovely new year, and I hope that you are all enjoying the new year, being productive or being happy or whatever it is the fuck that you want to do. My Christmas was good, so I got a candle. Don't know where the candle's gone, but who gives a fuck? It's a candle. Yeah, it's been too long, guys, and I'm not going to sit here and make false promises to you anymore and say, oh yeah, I'm going to upload fucking... No. I'm going to try to get better at this, and just please stick with me, because I do really want to make videos. I do really enjoy the feedback you guys give me, especially Jack Simmons. Keeps telling me that I don't know anything. Well, I do know something. I know that you're a fucking... dick. I do really enjoy making these videos, and I do, like I said, really enjoy the fact that we are slowly at fucking slow motion speed building some sort of community here. So if you are new, please subscribe. If you are old, please stay subscribed. If you are, like 18 like me, then just keep living, Actually, I turned 25 just before Christmas, so thanks for all the birthday messages. Twats. Enough of rambling, let's just get straight into today's video. Hey, Marcus, Marco, we have a few things we need to talk about here on the James Knows Nothing channel regarding you and your future. So, as I'm sure that you're all aware, Manchester United and Marcus Rashford have parted ways, basically. Obviously, he's still at the club at the moment, but since Ruben Amorim has come in to replace Eric Ten Hag, Marcus Rashford, I think, has been left out of 4 matchday squads, and in the wake of that, and in the wake of clearly being shown that Amorim hasn't got that faith in him that other managers have had, Marcus Rashford has come out and said that he fancies a new challenge, he wants a new chapter in his story or whatever. So that's a polite way of saying that he fucking wants to leave Manchester United. So obviously I'm here to explore where could Marcus Rashford go next. Yeah, I think from the information that we've been given, and again there's probably a lot more nuance and complexities to this story, Marcus Rashford is kind of tired of being that guy for Man United, because obviously when he performs really well, like in the 22-23 season when he scored 30 goals, there was Ballon d'Or shouts, everybody was singing his praises, everyone was in love with him, and then since then he has had 2 very lackluster seasons, in which last season he played 43 games, scored 8 goals. So far this season he's played 24 games and scored 7 goals, and like I said, that's off the back of a season scoring 30 goals. So clearly something has gone wrong with Marcus Rashford. It might be his attitude, it might be the pressure, it might be the changing of managers, it might just be the fact that Man United, let's just be real, haven't been very good for the last 2 seasons. His inconsistency has opened him up to a lot of criticism, not just from fans, because to be fair, the majority of Man United fans that I seem to have been exposed to aren't happy that Rashford is leaving. They want him to stay, they want him to carry on being their main guy, the top dog at Man United. But pundits, journalists, other fans, everyone is kind of getting on his case about his inconsistency and the fact that he shows these flashes of being a world-class player, being someone who Manchester United can rely on, and then in the next season he can barely score a goal. And again, those inconsistencies may be a reflection of how he's feeling inside, it may be a reflection of how the club have been using him, training him, whatever. The reason I allude to his attitude is because it's not just the fact that he hasn't been scoring goals. There's been a couple of quite high profile incidents where Rashford's been spotted going out, I think it was in Dublin, and getting very drunk and then calling in sick for training. And there was an incident not that long ago, it was when Amorim was already in Man U, and Rashford had used his time off to go to watch like a basketball game, and he was dressed in designer gear, and because it's Marcus Rashford, he's obviously going to get a lot of criticism for that. So that's why I'm kind of talking about his attitude, because maybe there are commitment issues off the field where people would expect, if you're the £300,000 a week, the number 10 for Manchester United, the guy, you want to set an example to the new manager and to your teammates, be like, no, we're going to spend this time off we've been given training, getting ready for the next game. Instead, he decides to go off and watch the basketball. It's very petty, bitchy, like that's not Marcus Rashford. You can't blame the fact that he scored 5 goals in 24 games on the fact that he went to watch a basketball game. And I think another thing is we do need to be honest about what Marcus Rashford is, and as I've said, he's always been painted, or not always, but in the more recent years, he's always been painted as being Manchester United's key player, their star boy, their talisman. And I don't think it's true anymore. I don't think, if you look back at how he hasn't been the player that's put Man United on his back after Fergie and, helped Man United get back to the way they used to be. Instead, he has just been a bright spark in an incredibly inconsistent Manchester United team, and an incredibly inconsistent era for Manchester United. And he's also been very inconsistent. I don't think he's been this player that maybe some of the more optimistic Man United fans have painted him out to be. And I think that, again, Man United fans probably won't like that I'm saying this, but I think they're going to be so fine without Marcus Rashford. I don't think they rely on him as much as maybe they have. I think Bruno Fernandes, he is their talisman. He is the guy. If you take him out of their club, you will see a drop-off. Take Marcus Rashford out, I don't think there's going to be many people who are concerned, really. But if you disagree, let me know. Okay, so option number... Oh, sorry. One thing I forgot there, guys. One very important thing. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the James Knows Nothing channel. And this is where you watch a man who knows literally nothing about anything try and talk about something. So, without any further ado, let's get into PSG. Okay, so PSG, I think, is one of the front runners to sign Marcus Rashford. I think it makes a lot of sense. Their name has been associated with him, I'd say, the most, except for maybe AC Milan. PSG, obviously, first and foremost, can afford Marcus Rashford, which is actually quite a big factor in all of these options I'm going to talk about. At the moment, I think the price that's being talked about for Marcus Rashford is around £55 million. I think PSG can easily afford that, along with the fact that he is currently earning around £300,000 at Manchester United. I think PSG, again, can easily afford that. There's also an expectation at PSG that Kolo Muani, who's a striker they've signed, he will be sold when an appropriate offer is made towards them. I think so, therefore they're going to get rid of one of their strikers. And then Gonzalo Ramos, who is the guy that scored the hat-trick in, I think it was the World Cup or it might have been the Euros. He obviously went to PSG. He hasn't been great. And we know that Marcus Rashford can play through the middle. He's done it before for Manchester United. So there's certainly an opening there that Marcus Rashford can go to PSG and become central striker. I think he'd do really well. I don't think he's going to get much luck playing off the left because obviously Bradley Barcola, he has been PSG's kind of like star boy. He's emerged from nowhere. He scored something like 12 goals in like 24 games so far this season. Been electric, been really good, been good in the Champions League as well. But Marcus Rashford playing as a striker for PSG, I think that's a really sweet deal, to be honest. I think his level after playing in the Premier League for so long, he will suit the French league very well. I think his pace and his strength on the ball. So you could be looking at potentially 20-30 goals a season if Marcus Rashford stays fit and plays up front PSG. He also gets Champions League football, which as for a player of that quality, I think he needs to be playing European football. And again, I know that PSG aren't maybe the project they used to be. Obviously, they've sort of gone away from signing the superstars, the Galacticos, famously having Messi, Neymar, Mbappe. But they still got a very decent squad. They've got Ousmane Dembele, they signed from Barcelona. They've got Donnarumma in goal, Marquinhos. They've got Hakimi. They've got Marco Asensio as well. So they've got some very decent players. And I think that he could add to that squad. Maybe if they sign a few more players in the summer, they could really push and they could really put together a team that could challenge for the Champions League potentially. And of course, big factor in this is that they have got Luis Enrique, who, whilst yes, he's managing in the French league, which I know isn't the best league in the world, he is a world-class coach. He's managed the greatest player of all time. He's managed the greatest front three of all time at the peak of their powers, and he's just got so much experience of dealing with superstars and developing young players that I think he could do really good things with Marcus Rashford. And I think that that's really important because you've got to remember that Marcus Rashford came through into the first team, I think it was under Louis van Gaal, and then he was managed by Jose Mourinho, and then he was managed by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and then he was managed by Ralf Rangnick, managed by Erik ten Hag. So there's been such a roller coaster of managers. He's never had that consistency, that one manager who's been able to teach him a philosophy, which is where players similar to him, such as Phil Foden or Bukayo Saka, have really benefited because they have had managers who have been in their jobs for a long time, and they've been able to work with these managers for a long time and learn their philosophies and their style of play, which is why you see more consistency from them over Marcus Rashford, who's had like a new manager every 2 seasons and had to adapt and constantly change his game to different styles of play, to different philosophies. Obviously, another thing of when you get a roller coaster of managers in, all these different managers want to bring in their own style of players. So Marcus Rashford has also been constantly playing with different players. So I think it will be good for him to go to PSG, be managed by a guy like Luis Enrique, who is probably going to be there for a long time. Like, I can't see him getting sacked from PSG. And I think he could really benefit from that as well. So to me, I think going to PSG makes a lot of sense for Marcus Rashford. And another tiny detail with that move is that I think that PSG are a very stylish club. They feel they're like a brand as much as they feel like a football club. They obviously had that Air Jordan deal, and they're in Paris, which is one of the fashion capitals of the world. And Marcus Rashford plays into that almost like celebrity lifestyle of a footballer. You know, he dresses in Louis Vuitton. He likes to get pictures with famous American celebrities, and he's very much a public figure. And if he's feeling comfortable and he's feeling confident off the pitch in Paris, he's going to play well on the pitch as well. For me, PSG is one of his best options, and like I said, they can afford him as well, so that could really happen. As I don't see many issues with Marcus Rashford going to PSG, except for the obvious language barrier, culture barrier. But we've seen guys like Tomori, Bellingham, Gallagher, they've all gone abroad and done fine, so I don't think that would be a huge issue. Okay, the next two options I'm kind of doing as one because they both have very similar reasons as why I think they'll struggle, but AC Milan and Barcelona. So first, let's start with AC Milan. They are one of the favourites to sign Marcus Rashford alongside PSG. Yeah, the only difference is I think PSG have a wealth, AC Milan would struggle. If you actually look at AC Milan's wage bill, their highest earner is Alvaro Morata, who signed for them in the summer, and he is currently on around £135,000, which is €160,000 a week. Marcus Rashford is currently on £300,000 a week. I can't see AC Milan sacrificing their entire wage structure to, so say for example they buy him and they put him on 300 grand a week. That's nearly double, that is over double what Alvaro Morata would have been earning. You're putting all those wages into a guy who you don't know which version of Marcus Rashford you're actually going to get. You've already made a statement to all your other players saying, look, this guy is now on a pedestal, he's the main guy, we're giving him more money than all of you, even though you've all been at the club longer and you've all proved your worth. This guy who is unproven, he can come in and he's going to earn more than all of you. Instantly, that puts a little bit of tension amongst the squad, because then players like Rafa Leao or Theo Hernandez, they're going to be like, well, what the fuck? I want as much money as he does or I'm going to leave. So the other option would obviously be that AC Milan would loan him for the remainder of the season and then Manchester United would subsidise those wages. But in the long term, how is that going to work? Because eventually Man United are going to want to sell him, and if AC Milan want to buy him, they're still going to have to pay those wages. That's the only issue I see. I still think he would do well in Milan. I think, again, he's got a lot of English-speaking players in Milan, like Tomori, Abraham, Loftus-Cheek as well. So that would probably allow him to acclimatise to the culture and get used to the club a lot more than maybe he would at PSG, and his pace and his power. And he's a good enough player that he could do well in Italy. You've seen the likes of Scott McTominay leave Manchester United, go to Napoli, and he's been one of the best midfielders in Serie A this season. So there's all the potential that Rashford could go in there, become the highest earner, but then be the best player. The risk of that not working could be quite dangerous to the entire squad morale. And again, AC Milan are a very competitive team in Serie A. Obviously, they won it a few years ago. And that's kind of the same with Barcelona. To me, Barcelona, I would want, if I could choose where I would want Marcus Rashford to go, it would be Barcelona. They're a very competitive team, again, very much like AC Milan. They're battling Real Madrid for La Liga. They're still in the Champions League. They're being managed by Hansi Flick. They've got the best young player in the world in Lamine Yamal. Second best young player in the world, obviously. And then it's Lamine Yamal. Lewandowski as well, who's got so much experience, he could teach Marcus Rashford a lot of things. And they've got likes of Frankie de Jong, and if he gets signed, Dani Olmo, and then Rafinha, who's having an amazing season as well. That to me is something that I think Marcus Rashford could be a part of, and I'd love to see him go to Barcelona. So then you've got Bellingham on one side in Madrid, and then you've got Rashford in Barcelona. And it's just like, that's a sick story. I love that. Barcelona can't even fucking register two of their players who they've already signed. Looking back, all the issues they've had financially, I just don't see how this transfer could happen, because if they can't afford to fucking register two players, how are they then going to afford to spend 55-60 million on Marcus Rashford along with all of his wages as well? I just don't see it happening personally, but I would love it to happen. And another interesting thing just with those positions is that I think that Rafinha eventually will move more central because Lewandowski is getting older. Maybe in a year or so Lewandowski may move on to Saudi or the MLS. He may very well stay. You know, he's having an amazing season at the moment, but my point is more that there is clearly space for Rashford in their attack, so that's another reason why I think he would fit in well at Barcelona. And also, yeah, how many fucking English players even Lineker's played for Barcelona. Louis Barry played for Barcelona. Who else? An English player going to Barcelona, that's crazy. And then, of course, you have your usual suspects, Juventus, Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, even Dortmund potentially. The general European super clubs will all be sniffing around for Marcus Rashford, but again, that's all, there's no solid links for him to Bayern or Juve or whatever. It's all hearsay. I think a lot of those clubs are very reactionary. If maybe Man United knocked 20 million off his asking price, then there might be more interest, but if they're very stubborn on that kind of 50 million mark, then I'm not sure if you'll get so much interest from especially a lot of the more conservative German clubs. I know obviously Bayern have spent big on likes of Harry Kane, Leroy Sané, Lucas Hernandez, but again, I think that I don't think they have a need for Marcus Rashford. And again, this is the biggest Achilles heel with the Rashford deal, is that you don't know what Marcus Rashford you're signing. So if you're giving him all these wages and you're paying all this money, you expect decent return, and Marcus Rashford is that hot and cold, you could be getting a Ballon d'Or level player, or you could genuinely be getting someone who's not going to score or assist. Like, that's always been the issue, and I think that's why this next move for him is so important, because he needs to go and prove to Europe that he can perform consistently. He needs to prove to England as well. Like, I'd love to see Marcus Rashford starting every game for England, but he's just, again, he's too hot and cold, and I think that's a symptom of being at Manchester United for so long, and that's why I'm saying he needs to go somewhere where he can just find consistency. He doesn't need to go and set the world on fire, but just a few seasons of just consistent goal scoring, consistent assists, and consistent performances as well. Not just, you can score a lot of goals in a season, doesn't necessarily mean the quality of your play, doesn't necessarily mean the quality of your play has been outstanding, and I think that's what Marcus Rashford needs to prove. I think that's what he needs to find as well, how to be consistent, how to show up every week, how to focus, all things that make great footballers, all things Marcus Rashford can do occasionally, but we haven't seen it on a consistent basis. And then finally, there's the other fucking gimpy options, which I'm not a huge fan of, which is obviously the Saudi Pro League, which I've already read he's not interested in. Good for you, Marcus. The MLS. The MLS could probably be a little bit more of a enticing offer for Rashford. Again, he seems to like American culture quite a lot. He's very into basketball, and, you know, he as fucking whoever said it, dresses like a rapper sometimes. And yeah, I think that might be an interesting prospect for him, but at the same time, he's 27, and I think whilst you've seen players like Ricky Puig and Ruben Neves go to these leagues, I think Rashford is genuinely too good, and I think he's got too much of a point to prove to just go to the MLS or the Saudi Pro League and just get forgotten about. So it'll be an interesting few weeks for him to see where he does go. Personally, like I said, I'd love him to go to Barcelona, but I think he'll go to PSG. Don't like the idea of him going loan anywhere, because it's a bit like, after all this drama, let's just draw the line in the sand now with Marcus Rashford and be like, right, his relationship with Manchester United is over. Let's call it what it is. It was great. He won a lot of trophies, scored a lot of goals, but it didn't end well, or it didn't end as maybe we all thought it would. And yeah, like I said, just consistency. That's the word I will always use with Marcus Rashford. He needs to find consistency. But yeah, I don't know anything, as you know. But thank you very much for tuning in to this year's fucking video. I'm going to try and get a video out soon about another player who might be moving elsewhere in January. I also might just get drunk for 3 weeks, so we'll see what happens. So if you have liked the video, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'm sure I will see you at some point in the future. But till then, take care, fuck off.